Friday 1-hour edition of Talkback. And Talkback this morning is brought to you by Y West Storage out at the Y on Two Smokes Way. Need storage? The number 406-510-0590, because at Y West they're making room for you. Phillips Janitorial. No job is too big or small for Phillips. If you have your home and your business that need cleaning, give them a call today. 406-260-6617. 123 Seamless Gutters is your family-owned and operated business serving all of western Montana. Give them a call, 406-240-2669, protecting the foundation of your future. And finally, by Harrington Surgical Supply, where you can feel confident in their discreet and knowledgeable guidance on a multitude of products and medical supplies.
The views and opinions expressed on Talkback are not those of the staff, management, or advertisers.
Hey, welcome, everybody. Good to have you along this morning on this Friday edition. I'm Peter Christian. That is Mr. Nick Questions. And good morning, Mr. Nick.
Good morning.
Mr. Nick is our wonderful producer, and we already have things happening, as we do every Friday. We always like to talk with Matt Jennings, who is our Missoula County attorney, and he's got the crime report for this morning. Matt, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Peter. Thanks for having me on. This morning I was going to start telling you about two jury trials that we had this week that were both kind of similar. We really noticed an uptick in 2020 during COVID of people making various threats to people they were frustrated with. And we've been kind of dealing with this fallout of crimes related to intimidation and threats and improper influence against public officials. And this week we had two very similar trials, the first of which was one individual had threatened to kill a doctor and various people in her practice back in 2023 because he was frustrated with his medical care. That person went through a trial that started on Tuesday, and he was convicted of intimidation. And actually, the day after that, while that first trial was still going on, another trial started with a man named Valentino Vanderbilt. And this individual was actually a fugitive out of California that had been in a shootout with law enforcement and was out on $1 million bail. And when our local law enforcement went to place him under arrest, he started making various threats to kill the law enforcement officers and spit on them. And so his trial overlapped with the first one, and he was also convicted of 3 different charges, including intimidation, threats and improper influence, and assault with a bodily fluid for spitting on the officers. I just wanted to make it clear to your listeners that certainly the First Amendment protects people to have any opinion they want. They can even say mean things. They can be frustrated. They can criticize. But we do take it very seriously when people have what is called in the law true threats, when they indicate that they have access to firearms, they articulate a specific plan to cause harm to somebody, and they explain essentially a motive of why they do it. And so we do take these cases once in a while, but the good news is, and this is just anecdotally, it does feel like they've been a little bit less over the last year or so. And so I hope that's a good trend and that people start finding different outlets for the frustration that we were watching a couple years ago.
Now, Matt, is intimidation is intimidation a misdemeanor or a felony?
Oh, great question. Yeah, intimidation is a felony, and threats and improper influence is really similar to intimidation, but it usually involves a public official like a law enforcement officer, and those are both felonies.
Thank you for that
clarification. And they have very significant penalties. Yeah, they have up to 10 years in prison as a possible sentence. That does not mean that that's what they get. That's just a possible maximum sentence for these offenses. And before a judge does sentence somebody, they really look into what's going on in their lives, including why they were getting to such a deep hole that they were acting out that way. But there usually is a punitive element to that, often some mental health help, making sure that they don't have access to firearms or tools of destruction like they were threatening to use, and that the community can be safe in the long run.
All right, let's continue.
Yeah, outside of that, we had a pretty average week this week. We filed 13 felony complaints. Of those 13, 7 were violent crimes. And we break down our violent crime category every week, too. We had 3 family violence events this week. Those were all basically domestic violence. We had 2 non-family violence or robbery charges. And we had 2 sexual assaults that were charged this week. We also had 4 property crimes, and we had 2 drug crimes. And so that's a very normal week, which is something that we love to see and haven't been seeing a lot of the last couple of years.
Well, Matt, it's always a pleasure talking with you, and thank you for putting that together. I know it takes a lot of work. We appreciate it, and for sharing that with our audience. We appreciate it, sir.
Thanks, Peter. Have a great day.
And the same to you. Have a great weekend. Shall we go into our, let's take our break, and we'll come right back. We have already a caller. It is open phones, basically, from now until 10 o'clock this morning. So an hour of open phones, almost anyway. Give us a call. Tell us what's on your mind. 721-1290, 1-800-568-5309. And we'll get to that coming up right after this.
God bless the USA, where the right to bear arms will not be infringed upon. Sky Blue Shows presents the Hamilton Gun Show at the Raleigh County Fairgrounds. Friday from 2 to 7 p.m., Saturday 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Sunday 9 a.m. to 2. Guns, ammo, knives, optics, tactical gear, and more. You can buy, sell, or trade your way through this can't-miss show. Upon entry, anyone 21 or older gets a free raffle ticket for a gun on display all weekend. The drawing will be 1:30 p.m. on Sunday.
Hey, we are back. This is Talkback. It's open phones from now until 10 o'clock this morning. So Nick Christensen over there waiting to take your phone calls. But Susan is already on the line. Susan, good morning. What's on your mind, ma'am?
Hey there. I'm on Bluetooth. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. It is, tomorrow is Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, 1941. Is a day that lives in infamy, and that was the day that the Japanese, who are now dear, dear friends of the United States, orchestrated a surprise attack on our Pacific Fleet and nearly destroyed all of our ships that were docked in Pearl Harbor, Honolulu. And so tomorrow we are going to be doing a beautiful ceremony at Rose Park starting at 4 p.m. just as the sun is setting. And, of course, that is a Saturday. It happens to be a Saturday this year. And we are going to retire 800 flags. We do need help. We need people to come and help carry the flags to the fire marshal that is standing, who is a member of the American Legion Post 27, who will then place them into the ceremonial burn pit. And we don't want people to think we are burning flags. We are not doing that. We are retiring them. People always, every year, when we do this at Rose Park, they go, "Oh my goodness, people are burning flags." No, we are not. We're retiring tattered flags, and we do a beautiful ceremony that is conducted by Colonel Gary Schwartz and the Reverend Paul Armstrong of the American Legion Post 27. Followed by there will be military honors rendered by the VFW Post 209 Honor Guard, and then there will be the playing of taps. And then it takes 5 hours to retire 800 flags. So we need people. You don't have to come if you don't want to and stay the whole time. But it is a process, and each and every flag, when they are placed in the hands of the fire marshal, is then saluted by the person who does it. And if you have little kids, if you have children 5 and over, I don't want you to come with babies, but if you have 5 and older children, this is a marvelous civics lesson on what was the significance of Pearl Harbor, and also what is the importance of the symbol of our nation. So I really hope you'll bring your kids. We have Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. We hope Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, please come. We also have Civil Air Patrol coming, and then of course we have the American Legion Color Guard and the VFW Post 209 Honor Guards that are rendering military honors. And so we just hope you will come tomorrow, December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, 4 p.m. at Rose Park. God bless America.
All right, Susan, thank you so much. And again, we appreciate the fact that you are always there with us to help us to commemorate all the very important milestones in our country. That's why we call her Mrs. America. So we should, whether
No.
Yeah.
I never. Thank you. That really embarrasses me because I'm not a veteran. I'm only the daughter of a Marine, as you are the son of 2 Marines.
Correct.
And I'm just glad that what I really do this for is for us to remember our history. Because, as I've said many times before, all of us are members of the most wonderful country in the world. And we need to remember our history.
You got it. Susan, thank you for the call, and thank you for your service and to our community. We appreciate that. We are going to jump right in to the phones, and Sandy is waiting on the line. Sandy, good morning. Welcome back to Talkback. What's up?
Good morning. First of all, thank you very much, Susan, for all of your patriotic duty that you do for Missoula. I really admire everything that she does for our community, and I don't know what we're going to do when she decides to retire from all of this. So I'm hoping that she has somebody that can step up and take her place, because she definitely overdoes it. I also wanted to say thank you for everybody that came out in droves on Monday night. I was only expecting 6 votes in my favor for banning camping in parks, maybe 7, and I got 9 people to vote with me. And I think that went entirely with the people that showed up in support of my ordinance amendment. And I think that the public comment really does make a difference. So I just wanted to thank everybody who came out, everybody who wrote letters, everybody who called their counselors. Thank you so much. It was a 6-month to a year-long effort, and I really, really, really appreciate the support. And hopefully I won't have anything that controversial in the next couple of months.
I will tell you that when you, and I know there's only a couple of other folks that consider themselves to be, sort of conservative on the city council, and usually those votes go, 8-4, 9-3, 10-2, or whatever. But in this particular case, I think you and the folks who are involved with that in trying to make it fair for everyone, you really changed some minds, especially with the public testimony that was heard about people who especially live and try to play in those parks and the difficulties they've had over the last year or so.
Yeah, I think so too, and thank you, Peter, because it was weird having, especially some of the sponsors that came on board with me, because we usually disagree on everything, and this just seemed to be a hot topic issue that everyone seemed to agree with, but I feel like it might have been politically difficult for a lot of folks to agree, especially with me and how controversial I am. So I really appreciate everybody coming out and saying their stories, because it really tugged at all of our hearts. There were some people that gave testimony on Monday night that I was holding back tears, because it was just so devastating to hear their stories. So thank you everybody for showing up. I really, really appreciate it.
For those that missed it, Sandy, what happens now? What happens next? Like, what did we officially vote on there?
So the biggest part of the change is that because right now you can camp in parks from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And then 30 days after the ordinance change was voted on, so that was Monday night the 2nd. So 30 days after that, so I believe it would be January 3rd is when it comes into effect. So that means that it's just purely black and white, no camping in the parks, no matter what time of day. People can camp in other public areas. They are not named, so it'll be a little bit difficult to find where you can publicly camp. But you can, if you are down on your luck and need somewhere to camp outside, there are other areas. I don't know exactly where, but it's not in parks or on trails. And you can do that from in the winter hours until March is from 6 p.m. until 8 a.m. And then they also added a $50 misdemeanor charge for punishment for breaking the rules, because before it was just going to be a municipal infraction. So basically a slap on the wrist. And it's up to the officer's discretion to enforce the $50 misdemeanor fine. If somebody just, was down on their luck, they just needed a place to sleep for the night, and they're like, oh, I didn't know, and then they moved along, then it's up to the officer's discretion to just move them along. But now if people are fighting back, if they're being blatantly disregarding of the rules, if they're being very inappropriate and disgusting, like a lot of these folks are with, my main point was drugs and defecation on, like, the playgrounds, then they can actually enforce it with the $50 misdemeanor charge, and it can escalate from there.
When you were advocating for this, did you speak with local law enforcement to see if they were hoping to be able to enforce this type of thing? Or because I know their hands were kind of tied behind their back a little bit when before this and trying to enforce these rules, but now it sounds like it's kind of at their discretion where, if someone's camping, they have the control to ask them to leave.
Yes, I did have meetings with Chief Collier and other officials with the Black Knight Security and the MPD, and they are excited. It sounds like they are, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but it sounds like they're excited that it is purely just black and white, that they will have the authority to enforce this, and there's not going to be any behind-the-scenes things encouraging them not to. It's all out in the open now, and on the books. It just makes it a lot easier for enforcement and the public alike to know the rules. So it sounds like it's a win-win on all sides.
I do have one more quick question, and you may not have the answer, but you might know where to point us to. If there are people out there who say, oh my gosh, well, how do I find out where I can camp? I mean, if we can't be in the parks and it can't be on private property, is there a way to find out what areas are possible for people who don't have a place to go to camp?
So one of the things that was accepted as an amendment on Monday night that I did not support, but it did get passed, was that the city is to distribute material saying where bathrooms are located, where sharps disposals are located, and trash, bathrooms, needles. I think that was it. So on that resource list, we'll also have numbers where you can call and maybe get answers for that. I was a little bit against that because I don't know what the liability would be if the city points to sharps disposals or stuff like that and then somebody gets injured. But the city will be distributing stuff like that or have something available for that. And then I don't know if they're actually going to put out a place where you can camp here, because I don't know if the city wants to direct people to a certain location. So I don't quite know the answer for that. But if people are down on their luck, there are a lot of resources that they can call to get guidance, and that's all on the city webpage.
All right. Well, listen, Sandy, thank you for your hard work, and you and your fellow city councilors. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, Peter and Nick. I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break. Catherine is waiting on the line, and it is open phones, by the way, from now until 10 o'clock. If there's something on your mind you'd like to talk about, that's what we want to talk about. The number is 721-1290, 1-800-568-5309. You can also use the KGVO app. We're coming right back. Okay, welcome back to Talk Back. 721-1290 is our number. And, of course, we have open phones going on right now. Catherine is on the line. Catherine, good morning.
Good morning. And I sent you something the other day from the Journal of Accountancy.
Yes.
This is further information on the CTA, or Corporate Transparency Act, and the beneficial ownership information,
right,
which is part of that. And that's the reporting rule. There's an injunction that was just filed and applied that should be applied nationally. It's a federal district court finding, and the finding is that the rule cannot be enforced, and so companies need not comply with the January 1st, 2025 reporting deadline. Under the injunction, FinCEN is barred from enforcing the requirements while the case is pending. The court called the CTA quasi-Orwellian, found that the legislation is likely unconstitutional as outside of Congress's power. And so anyway, I just wanted to give an update on that.
Well,
So that's a good thing.
I'm really glad you sent that to me because I am going to be communicating with our resident CPA, Walt Kiro. We talked about that quite a bit when he was on with us, and I will say that he also I sent him exactly the link that you sent me, and he is absolutely thrilled for his clients because he said this was moving way too fast.
Right. This was I guess the who was it that brought the case? I can't remember what it said. National Federation of Independent Business.
Right.
That's the largest plaintiff. I don't know if you belong to that. Has about 300,000 members, and so the that was the plaintiff in this court case. So
now you have to remember that this is a temporary stay, right? I mean, this has to be worked out. It could be that the government might prevail and reinstitute the deadline. So we don't know yet.
Right, you don't know yet. It will go to I think the fifth court, I believe. Is that what it said? Do you remember?
I don't have it in front of me. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Anyway, the next step is going to the fifth court to see if they will overturn this injunction. But it gives a little bit of time, I think, to get things done or to keep maybe to keep this in check a bit. So that would be good.
All right. Well, Catherine,
anyway,
thank you for bringing these things to our attention. We appreciate it, ma'am.
Sure, you're welcome.
Okay, we're going to come we're going to come right back. Jerry is waiting on the line. We're going to get to his call in just a moment. The phone lines are open, by the way. It is open phones from now until 10. So what's on your mind this morning? Whatever you want to talk about, that's what we'd like to talk about. We're going to come right back after this. Welcome back to Talk Back. It's open phones for another 28 minutes or so. And Jerry has been waiting through the break. Jerry, good morning, sir. What's on your mind?
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciated that last caller's information because that was on my list today, was to call the BOIR and try to get my LLC cleared. But what I wanted to call about was a vent a little bit on how long it takes to get a car title from this county and the state. Back in early October, I bought a new car and was going to use it on a vacation. And on the middle of the month, October, I applied. I got a license for it, and I applied for the state title. Then I hadn't got it as of yesterday or the day before, and I finally called the state and asked the state, well, where's it at? And she said, well, they haven't even got the information from the county.
Wow.
So for almost 2 months, the county's been holding this application form that has to go to the state to issue the title. And that seems kind of, the time frame just does not seem reasonable. So I was hoping that maybe the next time you get somebody from the county on, you could ask them to maybe explain why it takes so long to get a car title so you can drive the car out of state without worrying about somebody stopping you.
That is a very good suggestion. And we do have county talk whenever we can. It's not quite as steady as city talk, but we do try to get our county commissioners and the folks from the county in as often as we can.
Well, that's something that must apply to everybody that buys a new car. You pay a lot of money for it. You pay a lot of money for the license, and to wait for 2 months to even get the title seems to be a little bit unreasonable to me. So I'll get off and let the next person vent a little bit.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, Jerry, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for the call. That means Jeff is standing by. Jeff, good morning, sir. What's on your mind?
Hey, I don't know so much about venting, but that news about the FinCEN stay was great news. I had not heard about that. I've tried to stay on top of it, but that's I verified that online. That it was 2 days ago, I believe, December 4th. It was a Eastern Court of Texas. So good news. for those of us in HOAs who've never understood why the government needs to know why we're holding a few dollars. You know, it's ridiculous. But I called in because of, and something Susan said, tomorrow's Pearl Harbor Day. And in memory of that, there's a article out there called Sheep, Wolves, and Sheepdogs. It's by a retired Lieutenant Colonel, Dave Grossman. And if I could just read a few lines, a story basically. He says that one Vietnam veteran, an old retired colonel, once said this to me: most of the people in our society are sheep. They are kind, gentle, productive creatures who can only hurt one another by accident. And then there are the wolves, the old war veteran said, and the wolves feed on the sheep without mercy. And then there are the sheepdogs, he went on, and I am a sheepdog. I protect the flock and confront the wolf. And I think this is a great analogy for society, that there are sheep, wolves, and sheepdogs. And one of the things he says in there, I'm not going to read it, but one of the things he says in the essay is that sheep don't like the sheepdogs because they kind of look like the wolves and act like the wolves. They have fangs and things. And there's actually a little bit of the wolf in the sheepdog, but there's nothing of the sheepdog in the wolf. And so you don't have to fear the sheepdog. You have to fear the wolf. So in society, I think we the defund the police effort kind of exemplifies this, that we have people who think that police are wolves, and they're not. There may be some misbehaving wolves out there, as there are misbehaving sheepdogs, and shepherds look out for that. And if they find one, that dog is gone. Sheepdogs defend the flock. And so, like I said, on this anniversary eve of Pearl Harbor, I think it's a good thing to remember this. And I know you're the parent or the son of sheepdogs. And so,
well, I will tell you. I just, now that you're on the line sharing this, I just feel compelled to share this story that I saw on a news program. It was New York City. I think it was about a year and a half ago or so in the summer, and there was a riot. There were demonstration going on, and the police were trying to move people away from a street so cars and vehicles could get through, and and so there were people there that had full 5-gallon buckets of water that were dumping them on the police, on 7 or 8 different police officers who were trying to do their job. And those police officers, God bless them, they did not turn and try to strike the people who were dumping them with water. They just kept on doing their job. They gritted their teeth. They got the street clear. And I was just thinking, man, I don't know if I would have the willpower to be able to keep my mind on the job, especially when the people I'm trying to protect are dishonoring me in that way.
Yeah, sheep can really be stupid, can't they? When you look at them, they some understanding of what's really important. And but right now, an example of this is David Penn, Dave. I think it's David Penny, the Marine who was on the subway in New York, who's on trial. Right. That he was a sheepdog, and now he's being penalized for it. Except Mayor Adams has come out in his defense, saying we need more people like him. So while the bureaucracy is prosecuting him in New York, the mayor is coming out and saying, good on you, more people need to act like this. So it's a bit of cognitive dissonance, but I kind of welcome that cognitive dissonance because it shows to me that there's hope, that most people appreciate the sheepdog, and I hope we continue to do that.
You bet. Well, Jeff, always a good word. Thanks for the call. We're up against a break, and we have Dave standing by. By the way, several phone lines are open. If there's anything on your mind you want to talk about this morning, give us a call, 721-1290, 1-800-568-5309. There goes another one. We're going to come right back after this quick timeout. We are back on Talkback. 721-1290 is the number. It's open phones for another 18 minutes or so. Let's jump right back in and say hello to Dave. Hey, Dave, thanks for holding through the break, sir. What's on your mind?
Yeah, this tomorrow being Pearl Harbor Day, it'll be prior today. Today, back then, before Pearl Harbor Day, we were all sheep ourselves. We were sitting there pretending the world was not at war. And, we were lucky. We were lucky at Pearl Harbor in that it's a very shallow harbor, and that the Japanese didn't sink a major ship right in the neck of the harbor.
Yes,
and put it out of
our aircraft carriers were not there. And
right.
the three of the biggest and the most important, and that was definitely very fortunate for the United States.
Right, but if that harbor, the ship had been sunk in the neck,
right,
those aircraft carrier would have had to go back to San Francisco, and they had been a long ways from the war, and Japan would have been free to do what it wanted to do in the whole Asia. But as far as coming up now, we all know Putin is a wolf. It's all obvious he's a wolf. But is Donald Trump going to be a sheep, or is he going to be a sheepdog?
It's a good question. I'm sure we're going to find out.
Sure, thank you.
All right, thanks for the call, Dave. Appreciate it. Mr. Wingnut is on the line. Mr. Nutt, good morning. You're on Talkback. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, good morning. I was listening to the segment this morning about the, the rules and regulations for the camping in the parks that's going on. And just the other day, I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about how up in Montreal, Canada, that they've had situations where folks don't really want to follow their ordinances in regards to homeless camping. And so they've resorted to using speakers that are playing on loop the song Baby Shark. I don't know if you're familiar with that song.
No, I'm not.
So check it out. And so it's just a possible suggestion for the city of Missoula if it comes down to folks don't want to comply with the new ordinances or regulations that they come up with. But the real reason I called is I'm now trying to find professional help to get the song Baby Shark purged from my head.
Well, I'm sure there's a psychiatrist or a psychologist out there somewhere who can exercise that from your brain pan.
And in fact, I thought about this would be a great tool if you could couple it with drone technology and the Chinese systems that use little loudspeakers that follow people around and try to deal with their recalcitrance, I guess I'll say. Anyway, thanks. And just another worrisome moment.
So that's a song I'm going to have to look into and find out what it sounds like. But anyway, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. All right, Al is up next. Al, good morning, sir. You are on Talkback. What's on your mind, please?
Well, a little bit ago you were talking about local license plates, I guess, taking so long.
Yes.
A year and a half ago, last May, I purchased a new Chevy from our local Chevy dealer, and the county called me 3 weeks later to come down to get the license plate. So
okay.
That's a little different story than what I just heard. And I'm not related to anybody. Don't have any family members down at the county.
Yeah.
Putting in a good word, but I'm just telling you what happened to me a year and a half ago. 3 weeks later, they called me up and says, "Come on down, pay."
Well, that's great. That's good for you. And I'm hoping that I think Jerry was the one. Jerry's call is an anomaly, and that doesn't happen to everyone. Obviously, it didn't happen to you, and so we're glad of that.
Right. That's probably the first time ever I've had good words to say about the county. Thank you.
No. Thanks for the call. 721-1290 is our number, 1-800-568-5309. Hey, it's Open Phones. By the way, in case you did not know, that going on right next door on our sister station, Kiss FM, is Christmas for Kids. And I know they had a huge year last year, and this year we're also hoping to be able to do more about that. You've got some more information on that, Nick. Would you mind sharing? Just what are the facts about Christmas for Kids?
Yeah, Christmas for Kids. You can go online, Christmas.com. Everything's on there. They partner with the Watson's Children's Shelter. 100% of the net proceeds go to Christmas for Kids. Distributed to kids. I think there was some 5,000 last year, and they need even more this year. Some of the all-day online auction items, there's staycations, there's a Vivid Blue round Montana Sapphire ring.
Ooh, baby.
A year of free residential garbage pickup, a year of oil changes, 7-day cruise to Baja, Mexico, and a lot more. And so go to Christmas.com. They're not, like in years past, you used to be able to just kind of call in and donate. They're not doing that anymore. Everything has to be done online through that website, Christmas.com. But yeah, they need your help more this year than they have ever, basically, they said. So
you bet. Well, so and with that being said, I hope people will take advantage of that opportunity and give, because there are so many kids that are needy out there and their parents, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to give these kids an opportunity to go into a local store and purchase things that they need, that their families need. It has been a tradition for many, many years, and we deeply appreciate how Missoula and really now because it's online, it's worldwide. I'm sure we're getting donations from quite literally all over the world for Christmas for Kids. So we're very, very thrilled about that. So let's get Jerry back on. All right, let's get Jerry. Jerry, you're back. Go ahead, sir, please.
Hey, thank you. I just called in. I've got to correct the gentleman that called in and said he got his car license within a couple of weeks. Well, okay. I wasn't talking about car license. I was talking about the car title.
Oh, the title, okay.
The official document that says you actually own the vehicle,
okay,
which you have to have if you ever want to do anything with it.
Yeah.
Two different things. I got my license within 2 weeks when I took it down, but 2 months later, I still don't have the title that tells people that stipulates I actually own the vehicle that I'm driving. So 2 different items.
And I do know that if you ever do get pulled over, they ask for your license, insurance, and title, just to make sure that the car is yours.
Exactly.
Oh, they don't. Oh, Nick is shaking his head.
I don't think so. Yeah, just license registration.
Yeah, license registration. That's what I meant.
Yeah, gotcha.
Well, okay. Well, you still need the title if you're ever going to do anything with the car.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if you want to sell it, absolutely. Yeah, you can't sell a car without the title because that wouldn't because it meant you stole it. So yeah, that's not a good thing.
Okay, well, I just needed to clarify that the gentleman misunderstood what I was talking about.
No problem. Jerry, thanks for straightening us out. Have yourself a great day. We're up against our last break. By the way, all of our phone lines are open. If you have a question or a comment about what's going on in the world or here in Missoula or whatever it might be, give us a call at 721-1290 or 1-800-568-5309 or use the KGVO app. We love to get app messages. We'll be right back in 1 minute. Hey, welcome back to Talk Back. About another 8 minutes left in our time together of open phones. So we have Sean waiting. Good morning, Sean. Welcome to Talk Back. What's on your mind, sir?
Oh, good morning. Just talking about Pearl Harbor. My dad was at Camp Elliott, later Pendleton, at 2nd Division 8. And then Merle Bright, who was a Seagull Marine from Caldwell, Idaho, was at Pearl Harbor, and then they were both together on Guadalcanal and Tarawa, and just thought I'd bring a little memory to them.
Well, my father was a 3-theater veteran, World War II, Korea and Vietnam, and my mother was a drill instructor in the Marine Corps. So I'll tell you, it is a different world in the military, and if you haven't lived it, I was on the periphery. I was just a kid, but it is a different world. It's a very regimented world, and my brother and I lived at Camp Lejeune and Cherry Point, and on 2 Marine bases, and it was a great experience for us.
Yeah, can I make one quick comment?
Surely, go ahead.
The second was moved from San Diego to Lejeune after World War II, and then they were also talking about remembering another Marine, a Sergeant Major Cliff Jensen. I took him up to Whitefish years ago. Dad had his 8th patch on, and Cliff was at Okinawa. Then he was in Korea, Sergeant Major, an FO, and then he was also in Vietnam and went on for years. But okay, well, you guys, Lord bless and have a good day.
And thank you for your call. We appreciate it, sir. And by the way, phone lines are open at 721-1290 or 1-800-568-5309. If there's something you'd like to talk about, we still have about 6 minutes, and so we'd love to have you call us and tell us what's happening with you. So,
in the meantime, do you want to talk about your sidewalk story that you did?
Yes. I talked with Ross Mollenauer, who is with the City Streets Department, the Public Works Department, rather. And Sandra Vasica had sent me a memo from the City Council that they were planning to reduce the amount of money that each new sidewalk was going to cost consumers, homeowners rather, that we're going to have a sidewalk added. See, when they put a development in, if there are no sidewalks, they have to come in later. And so an established neighborhood needing new sidewalks, it is very, very expensive to put sidewalks in. And so they ask the homeowner where the sidewalk is going to cross through to pay for part of that. Now, originally, it was like $6,000 that you weren't expecting. You're going to get a letter in the mail saying, hey, we're putting a sidewalk in. That'll be $6,000, please.
And that's an assessment deferral, right?
Yeah. And but now what they are thinking of doing is reducing that to $3,500. And then, as you had just mentioned correctly, that if people don't have the money to pay at this time, they can either make payments or they can defer to pay that until after the home is sold, and then from the proceeds, they can pay that. But so if somebody owns a home for 50, 60 years and they defer it that long, that goes a long way, and the city is not making any money off that. So anyway, but the City Council is going to be looking at that. And again, this is a proposal. It hasn't passed yet, but it is something that the city is seriously considering. And some of that is directly from Mayor Andrea Davis. She has been getting calls from people saying, hey, the sidewalk's coming in. We can't afford a $6,000 a bill at this time. And that sort of thing. So they're trying to do everything they can to make it easier on homeowners, especially during what is a very trying financial time for Missoula. So we have Tom on the line. Tom, good morning, sir. We got about 3 minutes. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, I don't need 3 minutes, but just kind of a little funny here is that the other morning when Wall was on, my wife, Michelle, called in for the first time with a tax question.
Great.
And she's a retired physician. You may remember the call. She's a very shy person, but almost a world-renowned internal medicine doctor. Anyway, so she asked Walt about her IRA accounts, and Walt said, well, how many do you have? And she said 4 or 5, and so that was 4 that I didn't know about.
Surprise!
I just thought that was kind of a joke. I mean, obviously I did, but it was so nice because she's a very shy person. Like I said, very, very accomplished doctor, but she's also, Walt was very kind to her. You guys are very kind to her. And for somebody who barely, wants to talk to anybody in public, I thought it was great how well she was treated on the phone.
Well,
thank you.
Well, I will tell you that every person that we have, from Nick to hopefully yours truly and all of our guests, they realize that the people that call in are customers, right? And then we treat them like customers. We try to treat them with respect and honor, and we listen to them. And so anyway, all those things are very, very important.
Well, anyway, you guys have a, I'm sure I'll talk to you again, but have a very, very Merry Christmas. So anyway, and a good weekend this weekend. So we'll talk again soon.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
And all together now, go Grizz. You bet. So, okay. So, Mr. Nick, we have about a minute and a half. So what do you got plans for the weekend, sir?
Well, I will be watching the Grizz game tomorrow. Obviously, that is, I think we're 12 o'clock kickoff, right?
12:05.
12:05, excuse me. Yeah. So around, I think it's just going to be me and my dad watching the game.
Cool.
Other people got stuff going on, so
Let's try to get one more call in. You got time?
We got a minute.
We have 1 minute.
KGVO.
Hi, Nick's going to try to get our caller on and get their point made in 1 minute.
Nope, they hung up.
They went bye-bye. All right, so
okay.
Please finish your thought. Sorry.
No, just saying gonna watch the Grizz game, and then I'm a big Texas Longhorn fan, so they play at 2 o'clock. I'm hoping the Grizz game will still be close and worth watching at 2 o'clock. If it is not, I will be switching channels over to that to watch the start of that. But yeah, as of now, that's kind of all that's going on. How are you going to watch the game? Are you going to be home?
I will be home. My beloved wife, who has not been feeling well, she'll curl up on one end of the couch. I'll curl up on the other end of the couch, and we'll watch the game together. And we are hoping now. Unfortunately, the Grizzlies are, I think, 20-plus points underdog.
I haven't even looked yet.
Yeah. I think that was the latest line, down by about 20 points. So anyway, go Grizz, because, hey, stranger things have happened. If you remember, we played South Dakota State many years ago, and they were ahead 48-21. We came back and won that game. If you remember, I was there. It was one of the most exciting moments of my radio and broadcasting career to be there for that. All right, get out there and enjoy the weekend, and please be safe. We'll see you Monday morning at 8.